ResortLoop.com is proud to be sponsored by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea, the official specialty coffee of Disney Parks. You can find Joffrey's Coffee and specialty drinks in the parks, at Disney Springs, or online at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
We are now approaching the Magic Kingdom station. If you're planning to disembark here, please remain seated until the monorail has come to a complete stop within the station. The doors will open automatically for you to the left of our forward motion.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. This is the gateway to the magic of ResortLoop.com. A lot of things have been happening this week. A lot of new things we need to talk about. I thought I'd bring a good friend onto the show. You know him as the co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the cruise line, and of course the color companion, and a little business we call touringplans.com. Joining us, Mr. Len Testa.
How's it going, Tim? Good.
How are you doing?
Not bad at all. It's beautiful here in balmy Florida. I'm not going outside till the sun sets.
You said it's not quite as humid though as a lot of people are used to.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I mean, it's like when you go out at night, you don't feel like the entire Earth atmosphere is trying to stick to your skin. So it's really been not bad. I mean, the last couple of nights when seeing EPCOT Forever and seeing the last Illumination show, all of it was super pleasant.
Oh, that's fantastic. But the Animal Kingdom's still 20 degrees warmer, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it is. I think there's a bubble over there that we just can't see.
Awesome. So I want to talk about the new EPCOT Forever show and the gondolas, but I want to get started with the gondolas. That's long been a contention here on our show.
Yeah.
Because when these Skyliners were first mentioned, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is like a bad rumor. Then it came to me. Tell us what you think.
So I've been on them a few times. The first time I went on them was last Thursday. So a few days before its opening, I got to do a preview of them with some cast members. And we went from studios to Caribbean Beach to Art of Animation and Pop, and then Art of Animation Pop back through Caribbean Beach, through Riviera to Epcot. So the complete line as it exists now. So my initial impression on it was very positive. And let me preface all of this, Tim, by saying when it works. So whatever statements I'm about to say, before you hear it, just imagine me saying when it works, comma, right? Yeah, qualified. Yeah, when it works, it's beautiful. There's no experience like it in Walt Disney World, going that high up across that wide a swath of property. The initial journey that we took from studios to Caribbean Beach, not particularly scenic, but until you get to Caribbean Beach, but then you can start to see hints of how that view from that mode of transport might be something completely different than you're used to. Going from Caribbean Beach to Art of Animation and Pop is fantastic because you're landing over the water. And as you're coming in right down the middle of Hourglass Lake, and Pop is on your left, Art of Animation is on your right. You're seeing all the giant icons, but you're above them for a lot of your journey. So you're seeing the giant bowling pins and things like that, and from a perspective that you've never seen them before. Really, really great. And then leaving Pop, same thing, right? Just in reverse. It's really nice. The first time I rode them, I got on sort of like right before sunset. So the sun was in the right spot. Everything looked really, really good when I did it. And although it was like 91 that day, there was enough of a breeze in the cabin that there was enough air circulation to keep us cool. Like heat wasn't a problem at all when it was moving. So any concerns that I had about that were dissipated pretty quickly. And there were 8 of us in the cabin too, so it was pretty full.
All right, because that was one of my biggest questions. Has always been the heat.
Yeah, so if it's moving, you get a pretty good breeze, and the breeze is actually not only from the top but from the bottom.
Oh,
so
okay.
there are vents down where your legs are, and there are vents above you. Like if you're standing, it'd be a little bit above eye level. There's plenty of airflow when it's moving. We went from there to Caribbean Beach, then Caribbean Beach. I think actually the most scenic leg, if you're going to experience the Skyliner, the most scenic leg is Caribbean Beach through Riviera to International Gateway at Epcot and back, because you're flying over Caribbean Beach, past the Riviera, and then onto Epcot. And you approach the backside of Epcot and get to see things like the Remy construction. If you're going during a mealtime, you get to smell all the scents from the restaurants, which is pretty fantastic. And then coming into International Gateway is really, really scenic too. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It does break down a lot. So on our journey, the one that I just described, I think it stopped 4 or 5 times. We ended up trying to go back from International Gateway to the studios. And when we did, we went International Gateway through Riviera to Caribbean Beach, but the line had broken between Caribbean Beach and the studios, and they were done for the night. Like they were going to close it. So the option was buses. So they actually brought out a fleet of buses at Caribbean Beach to take people back to the studios if that's where they wanted to go. And we decided that the line to get to the buses was so long that it would be faster to go back to Epcot and walk, which is what we ended up doing.
Well, like
so we get to good.
I was just going to say, how many buses, like for your stop when they were getting people off, how many buses do you think it did take?
It probably would have taken 3 or 4 buses to do that, and there was one available when we were there. So I wasn't going to wait for it, and then of course you'd have to make the drive over there. So I didn't want to do that. So we ended up doing that. We ended up taking the Skyliner back to International Gateway and then walking. So it ended up taking about half an hour to get there, which I think was pretty fair. But then the next time I rode it was Sunday, and I did International Gateway to Caribbean Beach and back. And that's roughly a 13-minute trip because you stop for a little bit at the Riviera because it's running. People who are staying at Caribbean Beach at Aruba can walk to the Riviera station. It's open, and you can board there. So going through that International Gateway to Caribbean Beach is about 13 minutes, give or take. So the round trip should be 26, 27 minutes. It took us 90.
Oh, wow.
To do the round trip. Yeah. There was 10 minutes to board at International Gateway, 20 minutes to board on the return, 27 minutes or so, let's call it 30 just to make the math easier, for the actual trip itself. And then we spent 30 minutes in the Skyliner, stopped in 9 different stops. Like it was moving and then it would stop for, a minute or 3. And that happened 9 times on our trip. That's a lot. Right. At that point, adding an extra 30 minutes, adding even an extra 15 minutes to the journey on top of, 10 or 20 minutes standing in line. That's where you start to wonder if this is an efficient mode of transportation, right? Or if I could just call an Uber to get dropped off. So we actually continued measuring the Skyliner occupancy on Sunday. We had heard from one of the cast members that they're trying to dispatch one gondola with 10 people every 10 seconds. So 60 people an hour. Sorry, 60 people a minute, 3,600 people an hour. That's their goal.
Okay.
So our first question was, how close are they getting to that? So we measured over a 4-hour period. They're averaging around 50 right now.
Okay.
Which would be, so 50 in a 10-minute span, so 300 an hour. If they're completely filling them, which they're not, that would be 3,000 people an hour. Here's the interesting thing. We didn't see, most cabins aren't being filled to capacity. So they're not trying to group in, a group of 4 and 2 groups of 3. I don't think there's enough time to actually load a cabin with, or a cabin with that many people. So what they've got is they split the line into 2 halves, left and right. And they'll take a group from the left and a group from the right. And whatever number that is, as long as it's reasonably, as long as it's above 5 and close to 10, that's what the cabin goes out with. That's what the Skyliner goes out with. So if it's a group of 4 and a group of 3, it's 7. Obviously, that reduces the cabin's capacity by 30%. Right.
Right.
So they're probably getting about 3,000. If their theoretical capacity is 300 cabins an hour, they're not getting 3,000. They're probably getting something like 2,100 to 2,400 people. And that's important when we talk about the crowds leaving Epcot. So let's leave it there. 2,400 people an hour.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. If everything's running perfectly, they can probably hit 4,000 an hour.
Okay.
Right? If they're stuffing the cabins full and the cabins are going off without a hitch, they're probably hitting 4,000.
Okay.
But more likely they're at 2,400. All right. So that's that. Overall, though, I mean, it's if they get it working, if they get the stops figured out, and they have people from the manufacturer on site. And again, this is the first couple of days it's open. You expect these sort of things. They should get most of it resolved. It's going to be fantastic, especially if you're going in the morning or at night when the sun is hitting the buildings exactly right. It's going to be beautiful. I mean, bring your cameras. It's going to be that good.
Right. Are there people, is it going to like speed up the more people use this? Are people like taking their time getting on these things and maybe they could be getting on quicker? You know, taking selfies as they're boarding, that kind of thing?
And, I think you have to assume that people aren't taking selfies. I think you have to assume, though, that most people aren't going to be familiar with it. So it's moving while you're boarding it. And it's moving relatively slow, but it's still moving, right? A couple of problems that I saw were related to people not boarding fast enough and that stopping the line. So, like, for example, we saw somebody who did not fold their stroller up, who tried to get the stroller in the cabin, and the stroller was like barely fitting in between the doors. Like, they had to actually push on the stroller to get it in, in through the cabin doors because they're not super wide.
Right.
And they essentially ran out of room, right? They were walking sideways with the stroller trying to cram it into the cabin. They reached the end of the loading platform, and the cast member had to stop the line to tell them to fold the stroller and then take the stroller in, right? So they'll figure those things out. A couple of other instances where people were trying to get into the cabin in a certain order, like to have people sit in certain spots, and they couldn't do that in time. Silly things like, just get in the cabin. We'll figure it out later. But yeah, I think they'll probably have the cast members announce ahead of time, like how you're supposed to board and whether you're supposed to fold your strollers and things like that. And it'll get ironed out.
Okay. It doesn't have like a moving platform going the same speed as the Skyliner. You're just getting on from a platform.
No, it doesn't. You actually have to walk parallel with it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Now, is there in the Skyliner, is there like any kind of a speaker so when it stops, they'll tell you that it's going to be, we're going to be standing still for a while, or are you just kind of dangling there hoping they remember it's not working?
So there are apparently two speaker systems in the Skyliner. One is a really good sounding speaker system for standard audio. Like as you're passing over certain landmarks, they'll narrate and tell you what it is. So as we were leaving, for example, as we were leaving the studios going to Caribbean Beach, one of the things that the audio mentioned was that the retention pond that we were passing over is one of the headwaters of the Everglades. Okay, fair enough. Nice little bit of trivia. It's sort of like the monorail, right? They'll give you that. And then there's an emergency speaker system that's used when the Skyliner stops. And the reason why I think there are two different speakers is that the audio from one is super staticky. That's the emergency one. And then the audio from the pre-recorded messages is very, very clear.
Okay.
Right. So it almost sounds like the speaker in the cabin that we were in when we got the emergency announcements. It almost sounded like the speaker was blown. It was that fuzzy.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, I think solid debut. Right. It better than I thought in a number of ways.
I'll tell you, because I did look at a little bit of video of these, I was surprised how large the stations were.
Yeah, they're huge. They come with bathrooms. The Caribbean Beach one has actually a Joffrey's snack place out in front of it. So as you're going up, you can grab a snack.
Yes, our friends Joffrey's. Yes,
and they're really well themed. Like the Caribbean Beach station is themed like the inside of the old custom house. With the sort of the whitewashed wood and things like that. And the architecture is correct. Obviously, it's period correct at EPCOT as well. I didn't get a chance to notice the one at Pop because we were sort of on and off really, really fast. But they seem to be appropriately themed for the destination as well. And like I said, bathrooms in the hubs.
Nice.
Yeah. I think actually we were talking about this when we were on the Skyliner, but it wouldn't surprise me if Disney started making destination dining a thing using this. Like, if you're at the studios and you really wanted to go to Caribbean Beach for dinner, you could. I don't know why you would, because I don't think the restaurants right now are very good. But if they wanted to make it a thing,
right,
they could make it a thing.
But you could go like the Yachtsman Steakhouse right there.
You could. Actually, yeah. If you're at Caribbean Beach, you want to go to Yachtsman, yeah, just pop over.
That's fantastic. Do you think that would... how much do you think that would add to foot traffic at the different resorts? Do you think it'd be unobtrusive or just very convenient for a lot of people to do more resort hopping, kind of like a monorail hop?
I think so. If they eventually connect this, more widely across the resort, I think it would definitely help with people making reservation in one place for dinner and going to another and staying at a different hotel. Like let's say that they extended it, and I'm making this up, to Coronado or to Animal Kingdom Lodge. Right? You could technically go from Caribbean Beach to Animal Kingdom Lodge using just the Skyliner, and people would go there for Boma. Not that you couldn't do it now in a car,
Right.
But you could do it in a Skyliner, which is arriving in style. So yeah, I think that's part of it. It definitely opens up more dining options for people staying at those resorts, right? Because if you're at Caribbean Beach and you want to go to EPCOT for dinner, or even the EPCOT Resort area, it's now much easier.
I love that idea because I think a lot of people haven't even been to the Animal Kingdom because they don't want to take an extra bus ride, and there's no really convenient way there. So that'd be great. Yeah, I mean, you can Uber, right? But then it's the Skyliner's free, right?
So
you always minivan it, but you only want a minivan so many times.
Yeah, minivans are expensive.
They are. They're getting it up there. Still the best. Use them to go to the Magic Kingdom. We did that when we stayed at Saratoga last December. Fantastic.
Did you really?
Yes.
Nice. I have to say too that the Riviera is coming along. It's looking really good. I'm interested to say that when it opens on December 16th.
I'm wondering about the theme. Is it going? Do you think it'll be more deluxe, like super deluxe, uber deluxe?
Oh yeah. Sort of. From what I've heard, it's supposed to be like Grand Floridian South.
Okay. Now I need to hear Len.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very sad about Illuminations. I really wanted to get down there for the last Illuminations and first EPCOT Forever.
It was packed, Tim. Was
it
packed? Yeah, I heard. So an average day right now in EPCOT, on an average late September, early October weekday, 25,000 people in EPCOT.
Okay.
For the last Illumination show, 57,000 people showed up. It took, for those people who drove and got there early, it took over an hour to get out of the parking lot.
Wow.
When the show was over. Yeah. It was popular. I got there around 3:00 on Monday, and there were already people lining up on the bridge between UK and France, for very good spots. And the first thing I thought to myself was this: it was warm again. It wasn't very humid, but it was warm. And I thought, if I had to smell my own self for six hours until Illumination started, I would offend my own sense of being, right? Like I would not be happy with myself if I had to smell what I smelled like.
Right.
What are these people going to do for the next 6 hours?
Yes. It's a long time.
It was a long time. It rained briefly about 2 hours before the show. And then it actually was supposed to rain from 9 to 9:13 p.m. according to Dark Sky. And I was like, well, this is clearly God, showing his displeasure with EPCOT ending Illuminations. Right. It's if you needed a biblical sign, I mean, this is the biblical sign.
That's it.
Right. Yeah.
I can do no more.
No one dies and no one has to fight locusts. This is a sign. But yeah. Anyway, it was. I ended up watching it from Italy, which was great. It went off without a hitch. The audio was great. They ran the standard show. They didn't run a tag, and then I realized that the tags cost so much money that they're probably not going to. They weren't going to run the tag, so I understood it. Mm-hmm. But it was the standard show. It was great. There were, from what I understand, there were celebrities in attendance there too. So some. If you think of a celebrity who's a theme park fan, there were apparently quite a few of them that were there.
Okay.
But it was a good show. It was, and I'd actually seen it 3 consecutive nights in 3 different spots. So it was really good to see the show from 3 different perspectives, one last time.
The crowds get bigger each night leading up to it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually Saturday night was pretty busy because it was food and wine.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
It was Sunday dropped down quite a bit. Sunday was a really pleasant night in terms of temperature. And then Monday it was just jam packed. Yeah.
Wow. I can only imagine if that they would have done it on a Saturday. That was one of the reasons I couldn't make it down, because it was like Monday, Tuesday.
It's actually better that they didn't do it on a weekend, because I don't know that EPCOT could have handled that many more people. It was actually difficult enough to walk over the bridge between France and the UK with the number of people that were camping out there. And that was, a couple hours before showtime. I couldn't imagine if that had been on a weekend, how much more difficult it would have been.
Right.
And then leaving, I left about 40 minutes or so after the show, maybe 30 minutes after the show ended, and getting through International Gateway was an adventure. There were so many people leaving at the same time that it actually felt unsafe. They, that there's construction going around on the entrance. Mm-hmm. It got to a point where they were trying to funnel us out by that gift shop through an opening that's maybe 10, 15 feet wide.
Right.
And there's just no way that 57,000, whatever fraction of the 57,000 people who were leaving through International Gateway were going to go through that little area. And when you add in things like ECVs and strollers into that,
right,
where you've got to make room for people, and they sort of speed up and slow down. It didn't feel safe at all. Did not feel safe at all. The next night when they did EPCOT Forever, they had actually opened up a second lane to basically the entrance lane into Epcot they had turned it around to an exit. And I don't know why they didn't do it the first night. There was literally an entire path that no one was following.
Okay, right.
The park was closed. Why are we not walking out? No one's coming in.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that part could have been handled better. The other thing I was interested to see is when there was a crowd of 57,000 people on Monday night, how did the Skyliner deal with those crowds? And there was a pretty healthy line. I would say it was probably half an hour to board.
Okay.
The Skyliner.
Yeah. Which isn't bad.
But again,
you'll wait at least that for a bus sometimes, so you can finally get on a bus.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah. I mean, if you're at International Gateway, the walk back to the front of the park and then to wait for a bus might be half an hour.
Right.
So yeah, fair enough. And if you go to Caribbean Beach, that it may actually be the fastest route,
mm-hmm.
right? So yes, that wasn't bad. I didn't notice how many people they were loading into the cabins at night, because I think if they're loading the cabins at night for Epcot, they're shoving as close to 10 people into the cabins as they should, right? As they can. Yeah. I think that would be the operating thing. Yeah. So yeah, they get some stuff to work out there, but I think overall, Skyliner looks pretty positive. The last illuminations was great. I ended up going to La Cava del Tequila.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. And it was jam packed. Saw some friends there. I had one tequila, mm-hmm. and that was enough, because I said I did not need this to be a tequila and tear soaked evening for me. So one tequila, it was great. It was good seeing everyone. Did a little bit of food and wine eating. That was good too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad. It was a good evening.
So when Illuminations concluded, were there tears around from everybody, or?
I think we were all crying. Yeah,
I could see it.
My daughter Hannah was with me. We cried. I think everyone around us. It kind of hit me like halfway through that this is the last time I'm going to experience this soundtrack live in Epcot.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I'd sort of like the last couple of trips made a special effort to see Illuminations again from different vantage points, just so I could hear it. And I sort of made my peace with it going away. I love it. It's my favorite nighttime spectacular of all time. And it's like, I tell people, it's like your favorite athlete retiring.
Yes.
You remember all of the highlights. And then, it's bittersweet when it happens, but it has to come. Right. So it did. And that's fine.
I still miss the Tapestry of Nations parade music. That was still some of my favorite.
You are in for a treat.
Oh, am I? Is this where we segue over to the new show?
To Epcot Forever, yeah. So the next night,
I've not watched that on purpose until we talked. So
I actually went in with no spoilers too. And the funny thing was, I had met one of the Imagineers working on it over the weekend, and I'm like, dude, nothing. I can't ask you any questions about the show. He's like, you're gonna like it. I did ask him because I'd seen some video of kites, flaming kites, going around Epcot. And I'm like, are there really flaming kites in the show? He's like, yeah, it's fantastic. You'll like it. And he said a few more things, and he started to talk about the show, and I was like, okay, stop. I can't go with spoilers. So Epcot Forever has a new pre-show soundtrack. So they're not playing the old pre-show Illuminations music.
Okay.
Prior to Epcot Forever. It's going to take some getting used to. It's definitely more contemporary than the new stuff.
All right.
But EPCOT Forever starts. I think Disney's the intro to it says it's something about Epcot's past and future. That's like super important when to understand the show. But basically, it's a jukebox musical, right? Reflections had a story,
right?
This doesn't. I don't think this really has a story. If it does, I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
So it's basically a jukebox musical of Epcot songs.
Oh.
It starts. Are you familiar with the 1982? This is, by the way, let me preface this, Tim, by saying this is such an obscure Disney nerd question.
Okay.
that I know what I'm saying, right? I realize. Right. I realize. Okay. Are you familiar with the Epcot 1982 entrance music loop?
I believe I am.
Dun, 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 dun,
yes.
Dun.
Yes.
That's what this show starts with.
Nice.
So,
yes.
So for me, I mean, the 82 Epcot entrance music is the essence of Epcot, right?
Right. Exactly.
It's the musical embodiment of what the park is supposed to be. And they started with that. So, right off the bat, like I'm thinking 10 out of 10 for the first song.
Right. You're getting the feels already.
Yeah, exactly. Then they do a clip of One Little Spark from the original Journey into Imagination with Walt talking about what Epcot means.
Oh.
And then they fade out of that segment with more 1982 entrance music, and then into We've Just Begun to Dream, which I guess is sort of technically it's part of the entrance music.
Okay.
It's part of the opening speech, right?
Gotcha.
It's the background music for the opening speech. Then it goes into the song Horizons from Horizons.
Right.
Yeah. And at this point I'm thinking, however many tens of thousands of people are in this crowd, how many of them actually saw Horizons?
Right. Or World of Motion.
Yeah. The people that I was with all had experienced Horizons, so they got it. Then it went to Universe of Energy. So at this point, the only attraction that still exists that we've heard was Journey into Imagination, even though this is on version 3, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then they did a really great. Oh, by the way, these are not the original songs. These are modern arrangements.
Oh, okay.
Of the songs. Okay. So it's not the same singers.
All right.
Then they went to Listen to the Land, and it's a great Listen to the Land arrangement. It sort of has like a Western theme to it.
All right.
Which if you're familiar with like Aaron Copland from like the Billy the Kid Suite or. Okay, so when I say Aaron Copland, if you're familiar with the song from the Beef, It's What's for Dinner.
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay.
Exactly. The Beef campaign.
That's Aaron Copland, right? That's the Billy the Kid Suite. It's that arrangement of Listen to the Land, which is great. Really good clip there. They went to New Horizons from Horizons, and then they started doing a medley. There's a call out from the narrator. It says Soarin' to Tower. Oh. So obviously Soarin' is coming up. But the background music, I think, is Tomorrow's Child.
Okay.
And this is where the glowing kites come out. So they're kites pulled by cast members on jet skis. By the way, the jet skis, I think, are black. The cast members are all in black. There are no headlights.
Wow.
I'm sure it's perfectly safe, Tim. It's fine. It's all perfectly fine.
What could go wrong?
Don't look at what's happening in the water, right? Kites are flying by. They're changing colors. They've got like LEDs or something on them. I don't know if you saw it on the live stream, but I watched the live stream after I watched it live. The live stream does not capture at all what it looks like in person. And the kites are very, very close to the edge of World Showcase Lagoon. So they're much closer to you, I think, than they appear in the live stream, and they're huge. They're massive kites, and they fly around and they change colors as they're going. So they go from like purple to green to blue. There are other colors in there. Looked really good. Looked better in person than it did on TV.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and then they go to Soarin' over California background music, which is great. Magic Journeys from the opening day film and Imagination, which was great. And again, so I mean, at this point, Soarin' exists, and I guess Spaceship Earth technically from Tomorrow's Child exists, and maybe Journey to Imagination. But we're halfway through the show. There are 2 attractions that are currently around that we can do. Yeah, that we can see there. So they close that off with with Tomorrow's Child, and then they go into the original Imagination song with script from the current attraction. So they quote the current attraction but use the original music on it. And then staying in that pavilion, they do Making Memories from the Magic Journeys pre-show.
Yes, Kodak.
Yeah, Making Memories. So again, this is a highlight reel of
this is great.
Yeah, classic Disney stuff. And let me pause here by saying I was at a dessert party to watch this, and the desserts that Disney had come up with for the dessert party were themed to classic Epcot attractions.
What?
So there was a small figment pastry that was covered in the exact right shade of lavender purple, with little orange ears sticking up out of it, and there were food themed to the living seas. There was a frozen ice cream treat that was, I think, themed to Imagination. And then there was a tomato basil cupcake.
Ooh.
That was representing Kitchen Cabaret. And I mentioned that because the next song after Making Memories was Veggie Fruit.
Right.
Yeah, which it's a hit for everyone, right? Everyone knows it. Everyone's bopping along to Veggie Fruit. If it came out today, kids would say it was, and I'm quoting my daughter here, it's a banger. Okay, fair enough. All right. Then they do an upbeat version of Fun to Be Free from World of Motion.
Yes.
And then they combine all three of the last songs into a medley. So they're doing the words to Fun to Be Free, which is an upbeat version, Veggie Fruit, and Imagination, all singing over each other on the same beat. So it's a mix, which is great. Yeah, wow. Yeah, really nice. And that fades away, and then they start Tapestry of Nations, the soundtrack. So that's and so we did Veggie Fruit. We did Fun to Be Free. We did Imagination. Everyone's sort of like upbeat and going along. People lost their minds when Tapestry of Nations came out. Yeah. It was like everyone that I was with, again, classic Epcot fans. We didn't know if it was going to be in there or not and how they were going to fit it in, but they did. And it's a nice, decent length clip of Tapestry of Nations. And for me, I was like, well, we should play the whole thing, right? If the show just ended right now, 10 out of 10, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
So they did that. They did Golden Dreams from the original, the original arrangement of Golden Dreams from American Adventure. Then they did Celebrate the Future Hand in Hand and a Tapestry of Nations medley, which was even better because I love Celebrate the Future. Mm-hmm. I think then actually the cast member that I'd spoken to told me that was one of the songs that was going to be in the mix, because I thought originally, if it was Epcot Forever, they were basically concentrating on 1982 to 1984. But he's like, oh no, we've got Celebrate in there. I'm like, oh, no more. Don't tell me anymore.
Right. I need to experience.
Yeah, so like don't let me know. Then they do a One Little Spark reprise from Imagination, and then let me just say, Tim, if they had stopped it here with some fireworks and a big finale, I would have given it an A. Right? Mm-hmm. It just on the soundtrack, and the fireworks are actually pretty good, solid, like not bad visuals at all. The kites add to it. Again, it looks better in person if you've seen it only on TV. If it had ended here, I would have given it an A, maybe an A minus, right? Okay. Just on, not bad. I mean, it's not Reflections of Earth, right? But it's a one-year show.
Yeah.
But the finale is somehow Aladdin, A Whole New World.
Oh.
And it's a 10-minute show. This is a minute 45 of that. So almost 20% of the show is A Whole New World. And to say that it's a, WTF moment in the show is an understatement.
Yeah.
It doesn't go. Like it so doesn't go with all the other songs that it just played. Not only that, but it doesn't go with any of the themes, any of the things that the previous songs represent.
Right.
Right. None of that goes with A Whole New World. On its own, it's not a bad song, right? If they played this in the Magic Kingdom, if they played this in the studios, fine. Yeah. Right. Totally
absolutely
good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And they intersperse a quote in this from Walt saying, Epcot will always be in a state of becoming. And again, the fireworks are fine. during this segment, but it really is it's like biting into a chocolate candy bar and tasting pickle, right? I like pickles, right? In the right context, pickles are fine. Not what I was expecting here.
Yeah.
And it's just not. The ending is just not good. They have a chance to. I mean, the show's going to run for a year. They're probably going to tweak the soundtrack a little bit. So if I don't know if they're going to change a whole new world or not, but it was jarring. I'll leave it at that.
Seems like
overall, I would give it a B+. Right. I think 90% of the songs are great. Fireworks, visuals, again, all solid. And I'm putting this in the context of I'm not expecting this to be Reflections of Earth.
Right.
The modern Disney company is never going to do a Reflections of Earth again. It's just not. It's not going to happen. This is a 1-year show until Harmonia starts. For a 1-year show, it's a B+. Right. The thing that a couple of other things. There are children narrators throughout the whole thing. And do you have kids, Tim?
I have 2.
Okay,
but they're not young.
When I became a parent, I fully understood the saying "children should be seen and not heard." Right.
Right.
And the person who was sitting next to me during the show said, there's a reason why the only times you hear children singing are funerals and horror movies. And that's because it means that something bad is about to happen or has happened. We should never hear in Epcot children singing ever again. It should never happen. It's grating to me. I do not like the sound of children. And the other thing is that they use a child narrator for the whole thing. And, for me, it's like if this kid was trying to explain to me, the meaning of AC/DC's "You Shook Me All Night Long."
Right.
Like, dude, you're 10. You don't know anything about anything. Don't talk. Right. And so having a kid try to explain what Epcot means.
What?
Dude, I know what Epcot means, right? Let me tell you what Epcot means. Sit down, son.
I will school you, my friend. Yeah. You need to be schooled.
I don't need to hear what Epcot means from a child narrator ever.
Right.
Ever. It doesn't make any sense. So I mean, but they could change those things, right? They could change the narrator. They could change some of the core stuff. We'll see what happens if it does. Other than that, like I said, it's a fairly entertaining show. I would say even as it is, it's better than Rivers of Light. For all the things I just complained about, it's better than Rivers of Light. Is it better than Fantasmic? I mean, it depends on how much you like Disney characters. It's not as good as Happily Ever After, which of course is the premiere show now at Walt Disney World. But would I see it again? Yeah, I would definitely stay at Epcot to see it again. I'm going tonight.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was that.
Wow. So do you think
me complaining about kids and modern songs? Oh my God, this sounds so old. But really, it's the kids are grading anyway.
So with like the younger groups, I don't know, like millennials, are they watching the show going, I don't get any of this whatsoever?
That was the thing I was concerned about. Like, we understand the context of veggie fruit, right? Like where it comes and the whole background around it, right?
Yes. That was my Epcot.
Yeah. And so the one concern that I had, and I actually wrote this in the review, was that, how many people who are coming today who are millennials or, even in their 30s will have absolutely no context for this. But when they say veggie fruit, there is an attraction now living with the land, right, where you sort of see vegetables and fruits.
Right.
Maybe that's what they associate it with. Now, it's not the right association.
Right.
But as long as there's a link, I mean, it's the right pavilion, right? Close enough.
Yeah.
Maybe they can figure it out from that. And the rest of this stuff, right? So like the entrance music still fits. The imagination stuff still fits. Soarin' is still there. Tomorrow's Child is sort of a good enough future themed thing that they can get it. Fun to be free. Maybe they don't get that. But Tapestry of Nations, maybe not. But it's all sort of exotic themed enough or future themed enough that it fits in with the message of current Epcot. So I think most people will get most of it. But it's like going to Happily Ever After and you not seeing like Mulan. There are going to be segments where you wonder what the heck's going on, but there's enough fireworks and stuff going on that you can sort of gloss your way over it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, again, other than the finale with Aladdin, not bad at all. That's the one thing I would change.
Yeah, that's a very interesting choice.
Yeah, Aladdin.
When we're done here, I'm going to go watch it.
And what it is, I mean, is basically it's saying that characters are coming to Epcot, in ways that they haven't in the past,
right,
30, 39 years or whatever. So maybe I'm just channeling my anger at that into the last 2 minutes of this show. But yeah, overall, like I said, B+. We'll see what happens.
All right.
With Harmonious.
Before we wrap, I just want your quick thoughts. What do you think about the new way they're going to redo Future World into these neighborhoods, or what are they calling those? What do you think about those?
So I'm actually okay with the Moana waterfall thing, because the way they're positioning it on the way to the seas makes sense as a transition.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how heavy-handed they go with the Moana theming. Like if there's a character dressed up as the Rock out there, I might be a little upset. But overall, I think that's good. I think the 3-tiered pavilion that they're doing closer to World Showcase in the future, that looks good,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, that did.
It's going to come down to execution on things like that. And I think definitely Epcot needs more trees. So overall, I'm sort of cautiously optimistic on the overall redo. Like a lot of things, it's going to come down to how they do it and how will they stick with it. I actually wrote in the unofficial guide this year. I said the thing I'm most concerned about is it's not Remy in France, because I think Remy is actually a fantastic movie. It's my favorite Pixar movie, and I think it's appropriate in France in that context.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I said bothered me is Guardians of the Galaxy in Future World for a number of reasons. So let's set aside the fact that the justification for Guardians of the Galaxy in Future World that Disney gave us is that Peter Quinn visited Epcot in the 80s with his mom. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Whoever thought of that should have resigned in protest. And I'm not making this up. If that's what somebody told you to say, you should have quit and kept your dignity, rather than actually saying that out loud. Right? That's not good. But the thing that bothers me about Guardians of the Galaxy is this, right? So if you think about what Epcot, the original Epcot intent was, so it's like technology, free enterprise, human spirit, people working together, right, to forge a better tomorrow, right? And it talked about things like solar power or alternative power. It talked about transportation. Talked about agriculture and the environment and things like that, right? And these are all an imagination, right? And these are all things that people are still interested in, right? Oh, space, by the way, there was also space, right? But you think about Elon Musk,
mm-hmm.
right? He builds electric cars, which are better for the environment, and oh, by the way, also runs a spaceship company, right?
Yeah.
Builds rockets, right? Americans like Elon Musk, right? I mean, a lot of people think he's a visionary,
yes.
Right? And if you think about things like the environment, right, and alternative sources of energy, these are still topics that are relevant today.
Absolutely.
Right? So Disney has this chance, right, to talk to tens of millions of Americans every year about topics of global importance, right? The environment,
mm-hmm.
energy, space exploration, transportation, right? They have this opportunity in Epcot to do all of this and to influence that conversation, right? Because whatever message they put out in Epcot, tens of millions of people will see that message. Disney by themselves and with corporate sponsors could shape the conversations that we have about many different things in the United States. And instead, they didn't do that. They built a roller coaster with cartoon characters.
Right.
Like what? Why? Like what? Who looked at those two choices and said, "I'm going to go with B"? Why?
Right.
For what reason? Yeah. It baffles me. Right. I don't understand it. There were 3 other parks in which that coaster, at least 2 other parks in which. 2 other parks in which that coaster would have been okay, right? At least one, maybe the studios. And not for nothing, the studios needs more rides. Could have gone there. I don't know. That's where I'm at on that.
I would say when I would leave Epcot in the 80s, I always felt inspired for the future.
Right.
You know?
I mean, not for nothing, dude. I wrote my master's thesis thinking about Epcot. And I'm not making that up. Like I was inspired by Epcot to write the software that Touring Plans did, right?
Wow.
And to this day, it's still an inspiration. And there are a lot of people like us, right?
Yes.
We're not the only two. Yeah. I don't. The current generation of theme park management, I don't understand their approach to Epcot at all.
I'd walk through Future World, and you remember where the Epcot pole was, and those big, huge, glistening white satellite dishes.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh.
And remember the video screens where you could make reservations, and how like when the park opened, you would run to those things.
WorldLink. That's the only way you got restaurants.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's fine. Now we've got FaceTime, right, which is the same thing, but dude, that was the future, and it literally was the future because now we have it, right?
Absolutely, the screens were touchscreen, and people would pop up. It was fantastic.
Touch screens, right? Yeah.
Ugh.
And remember in Imagination we did computer assisted drawing, right? We had graphical programs, and we're like, oh my god, when are we going to get these things for our computers? Yeah.
Oh, like making the roller coaster and Communicore.
Yeah, and we can still do it, right? It's more a will thing. It's not like it's not possible. And I mentioned the future moves very, very fast. But again, Disney made $12 billion last year. That's a lot of money. It buys a lot of speed.
Right.
Just saying. So anyway, like I said, I mean, some of it looks really good. It's going to come down to execution. I would love to, like, I'm excited for the new Canada movie. I'm excited for the new China movie. I would love to see France get a new movie. But they're getting Beauty and the Beast, which again I understand. I'm not even really opposed to that, right? Even though it's not really that's sort of less appropriate than the other things. I'm okay with it, right?
Yeah.
But they still need to. There's a lot more updates they can do. I would like to see, and this is a topic for your listeners.
Okay.
I would like to see an update to American Adventure because the script is now going on 40 years old, right? And our collective understanding of America and American history has changed in the last 40 years. Right?
Yeah.
And I'd like to see something new there. I don't know if it's a scene replacement or a script replacement. I think you actually have to do them at the same time because I think the script is so tightly bound to the sets, to the scenes.
Yes.
You really can't change it. So maybe they get rid of one scene and they add another scene. I don't know. But in thinking about like all the stuff that's changing in Epcot, I thought about the American Adventure and I thought it's got to be really, really, really difficult to change that ride because of how tightly bound everything is together. Like the ride would have to go down for like a year while they built another set.
Right. And I guess that carousel thing that moves all the things there is super, super complicated.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, it's not just like, we're going to pop out some animatronics and have somebody write up the new music.
Yeah.
It's a process. It might even take more than a year. It might take, like 18 months or 2 years. But we'll see what happens. Whatever it is, I think it's probably more complicated than what Spaceship Earth is going to go through. So we'll see how long Spaceship Earth takes.
Right.
We'll go from there.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to make that a looper poll question. We're going to throw it out there to the listeners.
It totally should. So the question is, what scene goes and what do you put in?
I love it.
Yeah, there you go. It's for you.
Thank you very much. You just made it easier for me. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, there's a lot of potential here to do a lot of things in Epcot. I don't think the original purpose is sort of on life support, but Disney management changes. You never know. We'll see what happens. And I think some of the things are actually going to be pretty good. More dining options in Future World, definitely good. I don't think anyone is crying to see the end of Electric Umbrella.
You can only vacuum the wall so often.
I am actually a little sad to see there is no Club Cool. Like, actually, there's nothing wrong with Club Cool. It's a total, shout out to Coca-Cola for sponsorship, but whatever. People love it.
They do. Is it going to come back, do you think, or just as a temporary thing?
Yeah. It's definitely, I think they're just going to relocate it. Number one, it's so popular.
Yes.
It's popular than many World Showcase pavilions in our polls. And it's such a good advertisement for Coca-Cola. And it's unique, right? Free soda. It sort of fits in with the whole world theme, too, of like World Showcase, even though it's in Future World.
Yeah.
Like, that works for me, right? That works. Yeah.
Beverly challenges the whole thing.
Oof, yeah. I was flipping through something online and I found an advertisement in an Italian magazine. Oh yeah, I was looking at Fiat's online for whatever reason back from the 60s. And I was flipping through an Italian magazine and saw an ad for Beverly in it. And I was like, oh God, it really was a thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway.
I was passed by a Fiat the other day. I don't think Fiats could go that fast.
A rocket booster in this? What's happening here? That's funny.
I was like, what? That was a Fiat.
It's
well.
clearly with not a Fiat engine, but yeah.
Well, that's a little tangent there. I don't know what happened there. Oh,
All right.
oh, Len, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim. I really appreciate it.
Always a lot of fun. Everybody, I'm going to wrap this up. Facebook, Twitter, the website, ResortLoop.com. Thanks for listening to the Gateway to the Magic. See you, everybody.
There it goes.
Vacation memories will stay with you and your family for a lifetime. The Resort Loop Travel Group was created with this in mind. Our fee-free services will relieve you of the stress and confusion of finding and booking the best vacation at the best price. After booking, we will continue to monitor for ways to save you even more on your vacation. We will check for any upcoming packages and discounts to save you as many vacation dollars as possible. Resort Loop Travel Group, gateway to your magical vacation memories. Get a quote, or for more information, visit ResortLoopTravelGroup.com.